Hey there, Dango Stu here. Today's video is about starting to fix the damaged Yamaha two-stroke outboard and is proudly sponsored by marineengine.com. During the time of its heroic service, this outboard has been sunk in salt water and been run without oil in the fuel. So eventually it died. I've got some videos on that. I'm putting all these videos in one playlist, so I'll put a link to that in the description. First job is to get the crankshaft apart. The reason I'm starting from here is because obviously you build the outboard from the middle out, but also I think it's the part of the project with the lowest chance of success. I've got the service manual for this outboard that I grabbed online, put a link in the description there as well, and they're basically saying if there's any issues with it, you replace it. There's no instructions on repairing it, and there doesn't seem to be a Yamaha part for anything other than the assembly anyway. The Evinrude I did previously, I could do the crankshaft bearings quite easily because those bearings come apart like they do on a four-stroke. These don't. You have to actually separate the crankshaft in order to put them on. Anyway, let's give it a go. Alright, here we are. No Coopers today because I'm on a health kick, so just rum today. Now, first thing I've noticed in my little press is that the webs just don't fit through the bed here. So I'm going to cut it and weld it apart a little bit further. It's a really, it's not much it would fit. I'm tempted to cut it in the middle, just separate it and weld the gap. I think it would fit, but I don't do anything dodgy. Well, don't often do anything dodgy. Okay, I often do dodgy things, but I think in this case I want to make it strong. Okay. Alright, let's get a flap disc, get this paint off. All the load is taken by the 10mm steel that goes this way. These really just hold it in position, so they don't need to be as strong. So I'll find some metal, doesn't have to be that thick, but the important thing is that I weld it up so that it sits level. It's not rocking around like this, so we'll have to make sure it's all flat and square and true, etc. Alright, got it here on the welding bench. So I think I figured out about 125 internal will do. Alright, let's see how we are end to end. It's got to go that way a little bit. Let's grind this gal coating off around the weld now so we don't breathe in too much vitamin G. Because I've been away for a while, I'll go through the standard Australian process, which is squeeze all the fingers of your gloves to kill any poisonous spiders that may have made it its home while you're away. It doesn't take long, it's worth it. By grinding without a mask, you get to smell and taste all the poisonous substances that you're not going to breathe in when you're welding. It's a little bit funny. I've got this all square, but these aren't. It looks like this has to kind of come back a bit. So I'm sort of thinking that it wasn't square when it went together originally. So I'm almost tempted to dance to the music and weld to these brackets rather than squaring this up and having those out. I think we might have to compromise. Alright, seam's up and running. Everything gets filthy in here, particularly while we've been away. It's actually got me thinking I'm going to put some clear plastic on the front here. It's nice having the sort of semi-indoor outdoor thing, but I think I need to keep some of this dirt and moisture out. Alright, let's see if we have any. Ooh, dry welding rods. Ooh, rusty ones. What do we got? Stainless? No. Low hydrogen? Yes. Although low hydrogen's even worse for moisture, isn't it? Oh, here we go. Let's try these. The rod oven is on Renko, along with everything else. I don't even know what these are. 4313. Sounds intriguing. the earth lead just came apart. Don't know why. I spent the full $100 and only had it on maximum. It's weird. Alright, got a new terminal. Don't have a crimper here, but I think we'll just go the old vice crimp. That'll do. Gives me something to blame my welds on. God, it's because I didn't have my crimper. Would have been perfect otherwise. Alright, while that excessively heavy coat of paint dries, let's just get the pistons off here. There's no point having those flapping around while we're putting the whole thing in the press. It's going to be hard enough as it is. We will then score it. We'll mark some orientations, and I'll also check what parts we've got just to make sure we've got everything we need. I haven't actually confirmed that. Always a good thing to do. Alright, in here we've just got some little retainer clips we have to get out. I think I'm going to try and just get them out with a pick. Didn't even lose it. Miracle. I think this is going to be really awkward to get in the press, so I'm going to try and knock these wrist pins out using a drift like this. See how we go. Got the piston crown sort of supported on the bench, so it shouldn't put too much side load on the conrod. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's coming out nice and easy, that's good. So, all the needle bearings that will replace, and then the two sort of side retainer thrust washers. Side's definitely a little tighter. Okay, same again. They're a bit scored, but I think we can reuse these pistons. The idea of this rebuild is a bit of a cheap and nasty, so I don't think the outboard really warrants a huge amount of money spent on it. Bit of damage on the top from bits of bearing smacking around while it was running. We'll see. I'll see how much they are. Then we'll make a decision. Okay, this is a bit more manageable now. Before we press this apart, I'm going to score the webs where they're aligned across. This will just help us get the course sort of alignment correct when we put it back together. We need to do lots of sort of vernier calipers and V-blocks and dial gauges and everything to get it right, but it'll get us in the ballpark. We pretty much can't get in and press that down, you know, the webs are in the way really hard. We can, however, press it from this side, so I think we try and cut these with an angle grinder, separate them, get them out, then we can push on this pin here and get it into this space. I'm going to try cut this bearing that we're replacing, and then we can leave this divider in place without damaging, because we can then slide that across enough to push the pin. It only has to come to here, so we only need this much space. Let's see if we can get a cut through one side, then the other side, get this apart. Let's see if I can get it across a bit so we can get in here without nicking the webbing here. But often with bearings, particularly inner races, when they're on the shaft, you cut them kind of 90% of the way through, then just hit them with a chisel to split them. I might hit this a couple of times, see if it splits. If it doesn't, I'll get it over. Actually, I can probably use the chisel down here to move it over. It's gone tight. But But I'll try and break it first, see what happens. See how just hitting it with a chisel, it's cracked down here now, so we don't need to go any further. I think we'll just do the same thing on the other side. It should come apart. There we go. Split. Looks like we're going to have to cut the cage off too, but we can lift that up, get it away from the crankshaft so we don't damage or nick the crankshaft. That's the worst case scenario. I put a little nick in this, but that shouldn't be a problem, but nicking the crankshaft would be a problem. I'm just using the punch to prop the cage up off the shaft so we can cut it and not nick the shaft. Look at that. Done. The funny thing is, I don't know how bad this middle bearing was. I really think the worst one, actually both ends are bad. Definitely the bottom though, because I think, you know, with outboards, the crankshaft's vertical, and that's where the water's going to have sat in the bottom of the crankcase, absolutely killing that bearing. So there is a small chance we could have just done the bottom bearing and got away with it. I think, you know, this is obviously a bit rusty and pitted, who knows. I'll have a look, see if we can kind of linish this a little bit. Who knows our luck. Or do we, you know, machine it, put a sleeve on it? Always an option. Now what I'm going to do is pull this top bearing off. That'll give us access to this pin. Now this pin has a space to come down into. Just waiting for the paint still to dry on the bed. So in the meantime, little sidetrack, here is a replacement battery for my motorcycle. Do not open. Let's open it. These are the caps that go on there in the end. These seals you don't open, you just push on and then push down to break the seals, and then you look for bubbles to let you know they're all flowing. And then when the battery's full, the cap that was on those containers is what goes onto the battery itself. Alright, they're empty now, bubbling away. See how charged it is. Smart charger's saying charging, so it's obviously not full. Let it go for a while and throw it in the bike. Okay, getting ready to take this apart. Let's get this bearing separator and get it underneath this bearing. Actually, let's pop that woodruff key out before I lose it. Alright. Tighten those up a bit. All the big spanners are on Renko. Multi-grips. The paint on this widened bed still isn't dry. Alright, we're getting there. It's a miracle. Alright. So, bearing off. We'll do a little stock take of the bearings now. Here's new ring sets, the seal kit we talked about briefly last week. Let's have a little goosey. what we have is the bottom bearing. That's the one that was sitting in salt water, totally gone. Top bearing, terrible condition, but at least in one piece still. And the middle bearing that looks like that. What I have, having ordered 3, is the center bearing, the bottom bearing, but I have 2 bottoms instead of 1 top. I know, that makes it look funny when you go to the beach, but I need to order one of those. That's okay, it goes on the outside, it's not going to hold us up too much. Next job is to press these pins out from the conrods, so let's give that a go, see how it goes. Just trying to find an arrangement that's going to work for us. Here, if we have this one, don't get me wrong, I'm being a little bit lazy, I could just drop the bed, but I'm actually thinking this one, I'm going to have to drop the bed anyway, because we can't quite get centered without hitting here. So, bed's got to come down 1 pin, which wouldn't be so bad if the paint was dry. Obviously I need a cavity for the pin to go into. These blocks are V'd out, so I think that's going to do the trick. That looks pretty good. Let's use that one. Well, we got about 6 tons at the moment. It's only a 10-ton press, so we can leave some pressure on and then try heating it perhaps. I'm pretty sure it's not hitting the block underneath. Not 100% sure, but pretty sure. Nudging up against the red line. May have to go and put it in the big press at Adrian's workshop. Let it sit for a while, let it cool, we'll just load on it. It's not going to hurt. Well, thanks for watching. Didn't get as far as I'd hoped, but you know, it is what it is. I am going to order both the top bearing I need. Obviously the wrong one came, don't know if I ordered it wrong or whether they sent the wrong one. And I'm also going to order all the needles for the big and small end of the conrod. I don't have those and I'm going to need those. Plan from here really is just to take the crankshaft into Adrian's workshop and use a 20-30 ton press, whatever it is, rather than a little 10 ton. I think it's going to be good to have the press here, just isn't up to this particular job, that's all. It's still sitting with about 9 tons of pressure on it, not losing pressure, which is nice. Heated it, oiled it, cooled it, heated it, you know, round and round, but it's really not going anywhere. Put an extra bar on the handle, I'm sure the manufacturers encourage that, but no dice. If there's any delay in getting the crankshaft done, I'm going to push on and just start doing the block anyway. As long as I leave it at the point where we can put the pistons in, no problem. In the meantime, Adrian and I have been doing a bit of on-water servicing of bigger boats as well, so I'll kind of intersperse those videos with this, particularly while I'm waiting for parts or whatever. Alright, well take care, thanks again, and I will see you next week. Bye. Come on, Slowpoke. Come on. Vicky's chasing you up the stairs. Come on. Daffy. Come on. Keep going. You're almost there. Daffy. Well done. Welcome to the top.
Have you found something better than seed, Daisy? All right, have a good afternoon. Good hunting, Daisy. Excellent job.